Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are going to study the text, the Holocaust of Attachment. Before we go into the text, we'll see a few things about the text first. The thesis on God helped us to see who we are truly. We finished the text thesis on God. The thesis on God theme is to understand who we are truly, really is. That is thesis on God. This text, Holocaust of Attachment. This Holocaust of Attachment is going to talk about a disease that prevents you from seeing who you are, what you are. A disease. So previously we spoke about who you are. Now we are going to talk about the disease. Since we were talking about our true nature, it was very pleasant. It was very wonderful listening, hearing. Now that we are going to talk about the disease, it may not be that pleasant. It may not be that pleasant. It may not be that appealing to hear. And nobody wants to hear this. Nobody will like to hear this. Because who wants to know what is happening in them? Who wants to understand what the disease is? Everybody wants to see something other than themselves, or everybody wants to know something other than themselves. The Holocaust of Attachment is a book, a text that is going to talk about the fundamental disease, and that fundamental disease is attachment. It's a mirror that's going to show us which we will not like to see. For we are so used to seeing ourselves very differently. How are we used to looking at ourselves? How is everyone used to looking upon themselves? Everyone is used to looking upon themselves as the best, the noblest, the wonderful, the unique. What all adjectives you can give, you can give. That's how one looks at oneself. The Holocaust of Attachment is going to come and say, what you think you are is not what you are. It's going to show a different image of ourselves. And when it is going to show a different image of ourselves, it will be very painful, very hurtful, very irritating also. Because we are used to seeing differently, it is going to show us something very, very different. The Holocaust of Attachment. We'll see the word Holocaust first. What does the word Holocaust means? Okay, whenever we use the word Holocaust, we remember only what is the association that comes with that word? The association that comes with the word Holocaust is always one of the mass destruction. The Second World War, the Hitler, the Germans, mass killing, all this is what is associated with the word Holocaust. And what is meant is, what is that? What did it do? En masse, the whole lot got destroyed. The whole lot got destroyed en masse. It means there is something that is destroying everybody, all human beings. There is something that is destroying all human beings en masse, totally, and they are not aware of it. There is a disease that is there is a disease that is destroying, and there is no awareness of this disease. And anybody talks about this disease also will not be appreciated, because that's how we started. We are all used to looking at ourselves so differently that we don't want to know who we are now. Unless there is a courage to understand who I am now, I can never know the truth of who I am. So in order to know the truth, my true nature, I need to have the courage to accept who I am now and then move. Turning blind to who I am now and simply focusing on God, God, God is not going to take you anywhere. Therefore, the Holocaust of Attachment talks about what the disease is. This is the disease. This is as far as the word Holocaust is concerned. And what is the word attachment means? The word attachment is Holocaust of Attachment can be rephrased as Holocaust of Selfishness. Can be rephrased like that. Holocaust of Attachment can be rephrased as the Holocaust of Selfishness. Why? Because attachment and selfishness are two sides to the same coin. It is two sides to the same coin. One side of it, you will see it as selfishness. The other side of it, you will see it as attachment. So what we will be doing is, we will be looking at both the sides alternatively. And don't ask me which side of the coin we are looking at. I keep talking, that's all. You keep figuring it out which side of the coin it is. Whether are you talking about selfishness or are we talking about attachment? Because both are one and the same. So the Holocaust of Attachment can be rephrased as the Holocaust of Selfishness. Okay, what is selfishness first? What is selfishness? Selfishness is excessively concerned about oneself. That is selfishness. Excessively concerned about oneself. Exclusive concern about oneself is selfishness. Exclusive concern. How does it help? How does it function? Seeking or concentrating or looking for to one's own advantage, pleasure, well-being. One's own advantage, one's own pleasure, one's own well-being is what is being looked up to. Obviously, what it implies, when you are concerned about yourself, obviously it implies that you are unconcerned about the rest. When you are concerned about yourself, you are concerned about, you will not be concerned about others. So what is selfishness? An arising from concern of one's own welfare or advantage. One's own welfare, one's own advantage, one's own pleasure. This is called selfishness. And the selfishness brings about an attachment to one's own self. And the selfishness is nothing but an attachment to one's own self. Opposite of attachment is love, which we'll be discussing also. Opposite of attachment is love. We have seen that quote any number of times. Love is an emptier sound. On earth, unknown. Love is an emptier sound. The modern fair one's jest. On earth, unknown. Or found to warm the turtle's nest. There is no such thing called love at all. The modern fair ones just they play around with this word. They play around with this word love. And the truth is there's no such thing called love. Why? Because remember, love comes out of a discipline, sadhana, tapas, unselfishness. Attachment comes naturally. Love is that which has to be, when the selfishness is removed, what remains is love. It means effort has to be made to remove that selfishness, and when selfishness goes out, what is left behind is love. And what is selfishness? Concern about oneself, that's all. In order to do that, the human mind resorts to various type of acts. Out of this attachment, out of the selfishness, the human being resorts to various type of acts, and all those acts are called, misunderstood as love. Out of the selfishness arises acts, and those acts are misunderstood as love. As we go along, we'll be seeing all this in detail a lot. Today it's only a preamble to the text and the important words that we'll be using in this text. One is the disease, the Holocaust. Second one is attachment. The other side of attachment is selfishness. A belief, a notion, an emotion where you feel that you should be at the center of everything is selfishness. A notion where you should be the center of everything, selfishness. This is selfishness. Where everything in life, whatsoever happens in life, will be seen as for you or against you. This is selfishness. All that happens in life, you will see it as either it is for you or against you. Why? Because according to you, you are the center of the, you are the center. And there are 8 billion centers, isn't it? And there are 8 billion centers. And all these 8 billion centers are fighting with one another to become that center. So what happens? There is a conflict, there is a disturbance, there is the worry, there is this anxiety, there is the stress, everything is collapsing. The Holocaust says everything is collapsing, and still the human being believes everything is all right. That's what he concludes. He says, still you believe that everything is all right, not understanding the intensity of the disease. The person believes everything is all right. This is known as attachment, and this attachment is destructive. Okay. What is destruction? Destruction means sinking deeper and deeper and deeper. That is destruction. Evolution means you come out of it. What is destruction? You sink, you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and there's no, what seems to be the end of the selfishness? At what point of time you can say, oh, wow, I am completely selfish and I can be satisfied now? That point doesn't come at all. It seems to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. The self-obsession is called attachment, selfishness. When I consider far more important than the others, I consider my welfare as important than the others, is called selfishness. But sir, I'm not like this, sir. I consider the welfare of my family and children. Maybe this selfishness and all belongs to somebody else. I don't belong to this category. Why? Because I am interested in the welfare of others, my family. The very fact that mindness has come, selfishness has creeped in. So the concern is not because of who they are, what they are. The concern is because they are an extension of you. A concern that is arising because it is an extension of you is still under selfishness only. It's a concern because it is an extension. It's an extension of you. Therefore, what selfishness is, if you have to show concern or affection, you should be able to call it as mine. When you can claim something as mine, then comes affection. The moment that mineness goes, the other ceases to exist. The other ceases to exist. Why? Because something else has become mine, and my focus has shifted because something else has become mine. And wherever this mineness goes, my attention keeps shifting. This is called selfishness. Wherever that human being goes, whatsoever the human being does, the focal point is themselves. That is selfishness. The focus doesn't go out of themselves. And this focus not going out of oneself is the Holocaust. This is the Holocaust. So wherever you go, the focus not going out of oneself, centering on you all the time, is what he's calling as the Holocaust of attachment. And opposite of attachment is love. We'll see it from the other end also. Okay. Opposite of selfishness is selflessness. Opposite of selfishness is selflessness. Opposite of attachment is love. What is selfishness? We saw that already. Using the other as object for one's pleasure is attachment. Using the other as an object for one's pleasure is attachment. And by law, pleasure diminishes. And by law, what happens? The pleasure diminishes. Therefore, change in person, change in object becomes inevitable. This change leads to what? This change is what leads to heartbreaks, despair, feeling cheated, abused, used. They say, I was simply used, sir. I got used, I got abused, I feel cheated. Heart is breaking. Why? The pleasure content has diminished. You change. Why you change? Because the pleasure content diminished. And when the pleasure content diminished, what will the mind do? Obviously, shift to another person or another object. This is called selfishness. This is called selfishness. We don't understand attachment as a disease. We don't understand attachment is violent. We are going to discuss all this. I'm only making statements now. Don't worry. As we go into the text, we'll be reading all this in detail. Attachment is that which is violent. Attachment is dominating. You want to dominate. Attachment is domination. And domination results in violence, stifling. Therefore, when you want to dominate, the other gets suffocated. So, what is attachment? Attachment is nothing but wanting to dominate. Aurangzeb put Shah Jahan in the prison. You know that story. Aurangzeb put Shah Jahan in the prison, and he was so bored. Everything was given to him, but he was so bored. So he sent a note to Aurangzeb. The note was, send me 30, 40 children. At least I will teach them. Send me 30, 40 children. At least I can teach them. Aurangzeb says, see, look at this man. Even now he wants to dominate 40 persons. Even now he wants to dominate 40 children. Why? The person cannot live without dominating. The human being cannot live without dominating. And this wanting to dominate is the cause of suffering. Why? Because as you are trying to dominate, what is the other doing? What the other is trying? The other is also trying to dominate. It's not only you are trying, no. Only if you are trying and the other escapes, there is no problem. At least that person has done some good karma to have escaped you. Yeah. Out of punya karma that person has done to escape you, isn't it? But then it doesn't happen like that, no. Because why? As you are trying to dominate, what the other is trying to do? The other is also trying to dominate. So there is a war going on. There is a psychological war going on. And we have seen this any number of times. In a war, there are no winners or losers. In a war, there is no winner and loser. Everyone will be lost in the war. Everyone will lose something in the war. Superficially, war looks like having clear-cut demarcation of winner and loser. What is the reality of the war? The reality of the war is there are no winners, there are no losers. Or in fact, all are losers. And this attachment, this wanting to dominate is the war going on. And war always results in The war always results in pain, agony, suffering, ultimately destruction. Why it is this such a deep thing in a human being wanting to dominate, wanting to be the, wanting to dominate, wanting to control. Dominating means what? Okay, put it in other word. Dominating means control. Why there is this thing in every human being that they want to control the other. The parent wants to control the children wants to control the parent. The husband wants to control the wife and the wife wants to control the husband. And then they make an agreement. What is agreement? Half a day you control me, half a day I will control you. Oh, very good agreement. Who will start first? Fight will start there. Who will start first? I will start first. So first half of the day I will control. Second half of the day, that second half of the day never will come, isn't it? So what is this? What is this domination? Domination is nothing but a control. Why control? My source of pleasure is in this. Since my source of pleasure is in this, somehow I want to keep it. Somehow I want to keep it intact. That pressure that I have to keep my source of pleasure intact is selfishness. Because my pleasure is coming only from, my pleasure is coming only from this. Since it is coming only from this object or this person, invariably what I will do, I will somehow try to keep it. That's where the control starts. And the moment the control starts, what happens? Suffocation starts. Why? Because freedom is the most valuable thing for all human beings. Everybody wants freedom. And selfishness, attachment is exactly the opposite of freedom. So what happens is, in the name of, because of the selfishness, attachment, invariably they end up in a relationship. They end up getting into a relationship. All relationships that a human being gets into is not coming out of strength, but it is coming out of a weakness. What is the weakness? The weakness of seeking pleasure from the outside. All relationships comes out of this weakness. What is the weakness? Pleasure comes from outside that person. So what do? Since you believe your happiness, your pleasure is from that one person, what do you start doing? That's where it gets very ugly. You beg, you crave, you demand attention from a particular person. Why you demand, crave, beg for attention from a particular person? Because you are so convinced that your pleasure lies in that person. Since your pleasure lies in that person, you continue to torture the other, suffocate the other. And you know, the beauty of all this suffocation is this. The suffocation, this is where you need some knowledge and understand. Carefully follow now. All this suffocation is very pleasurable in the beginning. They love this, they love it. The mind falls for this. Why? Because it is seeking attention, exclusive attention, and when somebody is paying, and when someone is paying exclusive attention, what a joy it gives, what a pleasure it gives. That's where they say we are in love. We are in love. Vedanta comes and says, you have fallen in love. You have fallen in love. Why? Because two individuals have started paying mutual attention to each other. It's a question of time that it's going to stop. Or shift the attention to somebody else, or create something and shift the attention to something else. And invariably, what is it that they will create? Children they will create. Invariably, what they will do? Children they will create. And attention will shift to the children. And that children will grow up looking at this, and they will continue to do the same thing. This disease is called Holocaust. And it's not a disease of one person. It's not a disease of one family, one community, one country. It's a disease of human beings. That's where in the book is going to say, attachment is a disease that is threatening human race from extinction. He says it is threatening human race from extinction, and still people think, oh, it's okay. Why? Because they don't understand the disease. When you beg, crave, demand attention, what happens? It is very nice in the beginning, just as all attention is very good in the beginning. And we have seen that already in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. All that is pleasant in the beginning will turn out to be detrimental at the end. Full stop. There is no exception to this law. Take it or leave it. Doesn't make any difference. There is no exception to this law. What? All that is pleasant in the beginning will turn out to be unpleasant, poisonous at the end. How does it work? Okay. Nobody is paying attention to you, isn't it? Assume this condition. Nobody is paying attention to you. And then you wake up in the morning, you unlock your phone to see, and there are 5 good morning wishes. What a joy it gives. What a joy it gives, 5 good morning wishes. And then that night, good night. It gives such a joy. 3rd day, 3rd week, 3rd month, what happens? You block that person, no? That person is blocked. Or you say, oh, stop this good morning and good evening. Why? Because too much of what has happened? Why do you want to block? Because it has turned into a burden now. It has turned into a burden, a pain. Very difficult is to know how to love and not suffocate the other. Remember this. It's very difficult to know how to love and not suffocate the other. Either we suffocate in the name of love, or we move away. Very difficult is to love and not suffocate. And what is suffocation? Suffocation is this. This is why you feel suffocated. Suffocation is because of what? The other is squeezed. The other is squeezed. The other is tortured. The other is threatened. All methods are used. What? Squeeze, torture, threaten the other to be affectionate to you. If you are not affectionate to me, I will die. I will commit suicide. And the best thing that you should tell that person is what? What is the right thing you should tell that person? Srikanth. அன்னைக்கு சொல்லியிருக்கணும் சார், 25 years back I should have said that. Knowing that now, what difference does it make? You're able to follow. Threatening, squeezing, torturing. This is violence. Are you able to understand the violence in all this? Are you able to follow how violent it is? On top of it, make the other feel guilty also. On top of it, what you will do? You'll make the other feel guilty also. And that's it. After that, this is where Swamiji says, how are you? I am fine. He said, nothing is, after fully caught up in this disease and destroyed, and when he asks, how are you? The person says, I am fine, where nothing is fine. Parna, this is the preamble for this text. So you have the choice now to continue to listen or wait for the next announcement to come. I don't know when the next announcement will come. Yeah. The next starting a new book today. Please come, new book today. We are going to start. You can wait for that announcement also. This is the Holocaust of Attachment. And this book, there are few chapters in this. How many chapters? 8 chapters in this book. I'm not going to the details, as I said, because as we start reading, we'll be explaining all this. So let us not take all the beatings on one day itself. Week after week after week, we will receive 1 hour. Then we cannot survive. No, so we'll just take 1 or 2 for a week, forget it, and come to the next class. We'll take another one. Like that, we will continue in this book, The Holocaust. It has 8 chapters. Moving sequentially, it moves. How this attachment starts from the birth itself, as it were. And then it moves on to, it talks about the first very basics. He always starts with the very basics. The beauty of all his textbooks is it is always started from the very, very basics, so that you can follow the thought flow. So the first chapter will talk about the human mechanism. The first chapter will talk about human mechanism. What is the human being? What is the uniqueness of a human being vis-a-vis rest of the other species? Please understand, we are talking about the uniqueness, not about superiority. Uniqueness doesn't mean superior. So we are going to see the human mechanism as in the 3 species. And why this discussion of 3 species is to say how human beings are unique. And remember, uniqueness doesn't imply superiority or inferiority. Unique. That's all. And then the discussion goes on about the human mechanism. And then the chapter 2, born in captivity. What are all the various factors that is holding you captive, born in captivity. So he'll start from birth, the prison, the domestic prison, environmental pressure, all that he will talk about. Very beautiful analysis done by Rama in Yoga Vasishta. In Yoga Vasishta, the beautiful textbook, Rama does this analysis, how each and every stage in life is captive, where freedom seems to be a myth and captivity seems to be the reality. Freedom seems to be a myth, not even a hope. Freedom is not even a hope, he says. Freedom seems to be a myth and captivity seems to be the reality. And what is the reason for this captivity? The virus of attachment, chapter 3. Very, Very important topic, very important chapter. There he talks about how attachment arises, love versus attachment, all that he's going to talk about there. And then chapter 4, what is the opposite of attachment? Opposite of attachment, detachment. Opposite of attachment is detachment. Then he comes to the present scenario, chapter 5, the present crisis. What is happening now? The present crisis. So much have been spoken about the disease and all that. What should one do now? What are the ways to get out? Chapter 6, the middle path. Very important lesson. That also, the middle path. In and through all this, do not forget the ultimate goal. In and through all this, do not forget the ultimate goal, which is chapter 7. The book concludes with this chapter. So 7 chapters this book has. A small text, but the meaning and depth of it is so much. It's a very small book, but the meaning and depth of it is so much that we try to understand each and every chapter, topic, subtopic, etc. As you know how we read, first we start from the preface, then we go into the chapters, and then we read one subtopic, and then we'll try to understand the topic, and then we move on to the next topic, we move on to the next topic. This is the flow, like exactly the methodology that we adopted in studying thesis on God. With the same method, we study this. What is selfishness? To summarize now, what is selfishness? Me and mine is selfishness. Me and mine is selfishness. Ahankara and mamakara is selfishness. Me and mine. This obsession on oneself, this self-obsession is called attachment. So what is detachment? If attachment is self-obsession, what is detachment? Freedom from self-obsession is detachment. And people think detachment means detachment from, people think detachment means detachment from the other world. In Vedanta, we say detachment is not detachment from the other. Detachment means detachment from the self-obsession. Detachment from focusing on oneself. And this disease, it is called as Holocaust because this disease seems to be there in, it is there only, but then we have to be diplomatic. No, yeah, that's why. Seems to be there in all human beings. It's not seems to be there and all. It is there in all. It is there in all human beings. As I am talking about attachment, I could be very attached. That's the tragedy of the whole thing. The tragedy of the whole thing is, as I am talking about attachment and what are all the various ways of what is the pain, etc., all that I can talk about attachment. And the tragedy is I could be very attached. Vijay, correct? Huh? Don't say yes, sir. Don't say yes. Nama sir, no, don't say. You could have it and you will not know that you are having it. The moment you become aware of it, you become aware of that ugliness in that. The moment you become aware of this, you will drop it. Dropping the attachment is very easy. It's not difficult at all. To drop it, you just have to recognize the ugliness of it. That's all. And what is this knowledge talking about? Knowledge is not saying you are ugly. Please understand that. Knowledge is not saying you are ugly. Knowledge says the attachment is ugly. Obnoxious it is. The moment you recognize that, what you will do? You will drop it. You will drop it. In order to drop it, you need knowledge and understanding. So this book is about the knowledge and understanding, talking about the ugliness, the vulgarity, the obnoxious nature of attachment. Recognizing this, you will drop it. Recognizing this, you will drop it. For how to drop attachment, sir? How to drop selfishness, sir? Nobody needs to ask this question. You are having a charcoal, a burning charcoal on hand. And will you ask how to drop it? Will you ask how to drop it? The potato has just come out of the pressure cooker. It's boiling. It's in your hand. Will you ask how to drop it? I understand that it is hot. I understand that it is burning my hands. But I want to know what are the techniques by which I can drop it. Don't worry, there is no technique. Start from all over again. What? Start from chapter 1. Start from chapter 1, the human mechanism. Prasad, start from the beginning. What is the mechanism? What is the human mechanism? We have to start. Why? Because if the ugliness is understood, dropping becomes easy. If ugliness is not understood, you will hold on to it. So people are holding on to selfishness and attachment is because they are not matured enough. They are not able to see it as ugly. Instead, the mistake they make is wherever there is a problem, they will blame the other and move on to the next. They will blame the other person. They will blame the other person. They will blame the environment. They will blame the situation and they will move on to the next. Continue to do the same mistake there also. Okay, at least you move on to the next person. Will it be okay? No, you will continue to do the same mistake there also, isn't it? Some of the lectures, he gives the statistics. Swamiji gives the statistics. The percentage of divorces of the second marriage. The percentage of divorces of the third marriage. And nobody seems to see it as nobody seems to understand it as a problem. Why? Because there is no problem, sir. Why? Because it is legal, no? That's all. You make a mistake and legalize that mistake, it becomes right to do it. This is a fallacy of human thinking. Nobody seems to understand the problem. What is the problem? The problem of attachment where two human beings have lost the capacity to live with one another. How can I live with the person that I do not know of, sir? You can live only with the person you do not know. The moment you know, what will happen? If you want your marriage to survive, what you should do? Never know the other. Shailesh. Sorry, Bhavana, correct? No? No. Why should I say that? I should say Bhavana. Why Shailesh? Yeah. Foolish man he is anyway. Wow. The moment you know that person, why will you, why will you, why will you live with that person? The Holocaust of Attachment says it is not about the other, it is about recognizing the ugliness in you and eradicating it. Recognizing the ugliness in you and dropping it. And when this is dropped, what happens? When this is dropped, that's what you are going to see as we go along in the book. What happens when you drop it? What happens when you drop it? It becomes a strength. It becomes a strength. That which has made you weak, by dropping a few things, you regain your strength. And what is strength? Love is that strength. And love is that strength. And today love is the weakness, and that is the Holocaust. Nobody seems to be strong in love. Everybody is weak in love, and that weakness is the Holocaust. This is the theme of the book, The Holocaust of Attachment. Please remember, don't ask how to get rid of attachment. Don't ask this question. What is the technique? No, don't ask. Don't ask what is the method. Don't ask what is the technique. Make an effort to understand it as ugly. That's all. Make an effort to understand the ugliness in it. It's not that somehow you have to see it. It is ugly. It is ugly. All that this knowledge got to do is what? Learn to see the ugliness of attachment. The moment you understand the ugliness, automatically dropping the ugliness is not a problem. You are holding on to it because you are seeing it as valuable. You are holding on to it because you are seeing it as useful. You are seeing it as valuable. Also, you do not know anything other than that. If you know something meaningful other than that, you will hold on to that. Why will you be this? And what is love? Attention on the other is love. What is attachment? Attention on yourself is attachment. It is not about the pain or misery. Attachment has given pain to everybody. Attachment has given misery to everybody, is giving misery to everybody, is giving pain to everybody. And still, why nobody is dropping it? Because of the mistake. What is the mistake? The other is wrong. If the other is better, everything will be good. All that I need is who the better person. I don't know. If at all there is somebody called a better person or the best person, if at all somebody can be called as the best person. So what is attachment? Self-attention, selfishness, self-obsession. What is the nature of obsession? The nature of obsession is such that how much ever you feed your obsession, it grows bigger and bigger. That is obsession. What is the nature of obsession? Obsession means how much you go on feeding it, feeding it, feeding it. The obsession is never going to get satisfied. The obsession is never going to say, thank you. It is going to grow more and more and more. A time comes where it will consume the entire planet. It will consume the entire universe, and still it will be dissatisfied tremendously. So a tremendous dissatisfaction. A tremendous dissatisfaction is the attachment. I thought I'll give a short introduction, brief introduction. So we'll stop with this brief introduction. We'll move on to yeah, 1 second, hold on. Yes.
From the example of the person who is getting good morning wishes. So the question is, either one craves and seeks attention or feels suffocation and distance oneself. Either one craves and seeks attention or feels suffocated and distance oneself. So what is the right understanding from the perspective of the one who craves and also from the perspective of the one who attends to the craving?
Okay, the question is, what is, anyway, question and Purila, answer I'll give. The question that she is asking is, what is the craving?
What is the right understanding from the perspective of the one who craves seeking attention and from the perspective of the one who is attending to the craving?
Okay, now there are two people. One is craving for attention, another is giving attention. How to understand it rightly? Both are selfish. Both are selfish. Why? Because this person is looking for somebody to give attention, somebody is asking for attention, and they meet together for a while. Why? Both are selfish. This should be the right understanding. What is the right understanding? What should be the right understanding? Both are attached, both are selfish. How do we say both are selfish? The one who is craving is selfish. The one who is paying attention is also selfish. Both are selfish. Even if one person is not selfish, there won't be that much of a problem. So much of problem is because both are selfish. So the person who pays attention is thinking that he doesn't want anything, he's only giving, I'm a true lover, all that. No. Correct? Vedanta comes and says, no. Don't misread yourself. Don't misunderstand yourself like that. Understand yourself rightly. What is the right understanding? When somebody is craving for attention, what is the right thing to do? When somebody is sick, you don't feed that sickness and make that person more sick. As it is, craving is sickness. As it is, that person is craving, sick. You don't even know that. You don't even understand it as sickness in the first place, weakness in the first place. Therefore, out of ignorance, what does this person do? This person goes on paying attention. In that paying attention, what happens to the receiver? Demand increases. Because the receiver is not going to say?
No.
The receiver is not going to say, thank you, enough, thank you. So the demand is going to increase. And the person who has started to give starts feeling the pressure. What is the pressure? Demand now. Oh my God. Oh, you just to give more. You can't give more beyond a point. Why?
I don't have.
Why? Because you yourself don't have in the first place. Your capacity itself is so limited. Therefore, what happens?
Drained.
Both gets drained out. Both gets drained out. If the giver has the proper understanding, right understanding, that person will know how to help that person out of sickness first. Not there is a craving and there is a pampering. That's all she is asking. The question is what? How to understand the one who is craving and the other who is pampering. That's question. Craving is by one, pampering by the other. How to rightly understand it? Badri, what is the right understanding? Both are selfish. Both are selfish. Why? Because of selfishness as well as pampering. Because so both are making the same mistake. Pampering is what? Unintelligent expression of affection without control. Unintelligent expression of affection is pampering. This fellow is so weak that, okay, why do we have you have a dog at home, and when you come, the dog is, when you leave, the other family members are happy and the dog is sad. When you come back, dog is happy and other family members are, you vandutarenu irukudhu illaya, abada porarnu others feel, vandutarnu others feel. Now, and so much of affection to the pampering. You know why? Because it is showing affection. It is not showing affection. It is saying what? Pamper me, pamper me, pamper me. And you also love to pamper. So the other is asking, pamper me, pamper me, pamper me. And you also love to pamper. And this mutual pampering is misunderstood as love. We understand each other very well, sir. Yeah. Yes. We understand each other very well. Stop pampering, then you will know whether understanding is there or not. There is no understanding. Pampering. Distinct and different from that is love, which we are going to discuss. What all love is not, we will eliminate all that. Neti, we will remove all that which is not love. And finally, we will end up in what love is. What love is. Pampering and craving. One and the same. How do you say it is one and the same? That person is craving to be pampered. This person is looking for somebody to pamper. This fellow is waiting to pamper. And somebody, always you will find somebody. Always you will find somebody. Holocaust it is. The Holocaust of Attachment. Are you able to follow? This fellow is also craving to pamper. He says, sir, I have so much of affection, sir. There is nobody to show my affection. very difficult to understand love minus, it's very difficult to understand love as a state, not as a relationship. Please understand that. In Vedanta, when we talk about love, in Vedanta, we talk about love as a state of your existence. It's a state of your being, nothing to do with any specific relationship. Your state of existence, your state of being is love. Whoever comes in contact with you will get that fragrance. Like the rose. The rose has the fragrance. Whoever comes in contact with the rose will get that fragrance. So, love is not relationship specific. Attachment is always relationship specific. Remember this. Wherever it is specific by nature, it is attachment. Wherever it is your state of being, it is growth, love. Invariably, attachment means a relationship, because we are not matured enough to understand love as an inner state. We are not matured enough to understand love as your inner quality. It has got nothing to do with the other. It has got nothing to do with the other. Love is your inner quality, and it is not one person specific. It is not few. It is towards everyone. And how nice it is. We all want that, but we don't want to pay the price. What is the price? Drop the ugliness. Dropping the ugliness is the price for the universality. So what is that ugliness? Craving, pampering. So whenever we talk about attachment, we understand it in terms of a relationship. Relationship means varying degrees of comfort. Relationship means varying degrees of comfort, a satisfaction in exclusive ownership, domination, இதெல்லாம் தான் attachment. Varying degrees of comfort it gives. A satisfaction that someone is paying attention to me. There is somebody to pay attention to me. And when there is nobody to pay attention to me, or when that specific person that I want to pay attention is not paying attention, there is a pain. When somebody comes and says, nobody loves me, you understand what? One specific person said no, that's all. Correct? When they come and say nobody loves me, no, it's not nobody is not that one specific person that I wanted to say, I will pay exclusive attention only to undivided, exclusive attention only to you, and not look anywhere. Abba, what a joy it gives. You can try it with the children, huh? You can try it with the small children. All are children only. You can try it with everybody. It works. And I have experimented with quite a few. Even in this classroom, I can't say who they are. When did I experiment? But still, it worked. Yeah, still, it worked. Sit in front of the child and don't pay attention to the face. Don't look at the face. Look everywhere and talk, but don't look at the face. What the child will do? What the child will do? Does anybody have that experience? What the child will do? It will say, it will bring the face to the focal point. And what will be the focal point? Me. Yeah, what will be the focal point? Me. This is called attachment. It's there from birth. It is there. It is there from birth. From birth. It is there. And whoever pays this attention will be. We understand each other very well. It means what? We mutually agreed to pamper each other. That's what is meant by understanding. What is understanding? Nobody understands me, sir. It means what? Nobody is in agreement with you. Yeah. Wherever you go, people are எல்லாம் ஓடுறாங்க சங்கர். Not you. Poor fellow is a very nice man. At least once in a few class I should say something good about him also, no? Otherwise, week after week, I'm only insulting him. And he's so foolish, he will call me and say, insult me more. No, what do I do? Yeah. Shankar, correct? No? I'm not lying, no? Correct. Yeah. Otherwise, people think, he will call me and say, no, sir, you should insult me more. I said, oh, what a joy it gives. Because everybody is asking, do praises. Somebody says, insult me, no? What a joy it gives. Because you can, all the frustrations I can throw out, no? Poor man, he's not like a very nice fellow. The thought of you, the other doesn't want to associate. Why? Because suffocation has happened. Suffocation has happened. To conclude, you understand the sequence. First, there will be a stranger. First, the other person will be a stranger. And then a relationship will develop. And then it will end up in hatred. Have you observed the sequence? First, it will be a stranger. And then a relationship will develop. And that relationship, you can call it as friendship, any word you can give, doesn't matter. From stranger to a relationship and finally to hatred. And you know the psychology of hatred, no? Where disappointments are more, hatred will be more. Where disappointments are more, hatred will be more. Why disappointments are more? Expectations are more. And why do you expect? Why do you expect? That's your weakness. That's your weakness. You want attention. You want attention. That is your weakness. And somebody promises you. Somebody gives you a hope. What is the promise? What is the hope? I will pay attention to you. How long? Not knowing their capacity. Not knowing their capacity. They're not recognizing their capacity. They come and tell you what? I will pay. That's why they say, we are committed, sir. What all words they use nowadays? My God. What all terms and terminology? We are committed. Commitment requires a capacity. What is it requires a tremendous capacity it requires. Where there is zero capacity, there is a commitment. Have you ever observed? Hatred will be towards the nearest and the dearest. Hatred will be more towards the nearest and the dearest, isn't it? Even within the family, hatred always starts where? Starting point of hatred, first hatred. Father. Because I am a father, no? First hatred. Fathers, correct? Fathers are hated a lot. Why? I don't know, but they are hated. Not me, yeah? Yeah, personally. Followed by the mother, the siblings. Why? Where it is all supposed to be one of love and where it is all supposed to be one of love and affection, where we hate to those whom we loved. We hate those whom we loved. If we have not loved before, hatred can never happen. It means what? There is no love at all in the first place. Why? True love can never turn itself into hatred. It means there is no true love in the first place. At one point of time, there is an anxiety to be together. At another point of time, there is an anxiety to get separated. At one point of time, ready to do anything to be together. At another point of time, ready to do anything to separate. You can't blame any single person in this. The whole lot is suffering. That's why he calls it as the Holocaust of Attachment. Where attachment is, one will want to escape from another. When somebody is trying to escape from you, you should understand that you have started suffocating. So what is this? Suffocating the other with your demands and suffocating the other with your giving also. Two ways you suffocate. One is one type of suffocation is through your demands. Another type of suffocation is through your giving. Indiscriminately asking, indiscriminately giving. Both ways causes suffocation. So what does Vedanta come and say? Vedanta is not against affection or against showing love. It only says what you are calling as love is not love. What you are calling as love is not love. Then what is love? You cannot ask what is love, for there is no definition for what is love. Just as what is God, there is no definition for what is God. There is no definition for what is love. What it is not, and you drop that, what remains is love. God. That's why they say love is God. Both are one and the same. Why? Because both cannot be defined, or you can only say what it is not. In this Holocaust of Attachment, what we are going to study, what it is not, and we are going to remove it. By removing it, we will end up in having some idea or some understanding of what love is. To conclude, generations after generations have written exquisite poetry on love. Still love remains a mystery, no? So much is written about love. In fact, so much is written about love, even more than God, isn't it? So much is written about love, so much is spoken about love, generations after generations, literature after literature, poetry after poetry, and still this love remains so elusive. Why? Because to understand that, the ugliness has to be dropped. What is ugliness? The ugliness of self-obsession, the ugliness of self-interest, the ugliness of self-obsession, the ugliness of placing oneself at the center. You walk in the street, you believe everybody is looking at you. No, nobody is paying attention because everybody is so preoccupied with their own things already. Where do they have? But then your focus on yourself makes you to believe that everybody is. Wherever I go, people pay so much of attention, sir. Nobody is paying attention. Why? Because they're all so preoccupied already. Are you able to follow? When you remove all the self-obsession, you develop an inner strength. You develop an inner strength. That inner strength is love, which is not making you weak. Not only that, the recipient also will be benefited by your love. When it comes out of strength, the recipient, meaning the other, also will be benefited by your love. This is the lesson. This is the book that we are going to study, The Holocaust of Attachment. Thesis on God will not doubt ever. Anger will not come. In Holocaust of Attachment, anger will come. And all doubts will come out of anger and irritation. Thesis on God, doubts will come out of something is so, it's all going over the head. Easy to answer those questions. In Holocaust of a thesis on God, questions are easy to answer. Holocaust of Attachment questions are difficult to handle. And you can feel in each and every question, you will feel the heat. Don't worry, we will face the heat. Venkat, do you have anything before we conclude?
Yeah, Mala has posted a few questions.
Mala has posted. Okay. What has she posted? Let us see. How to... Oh. Okay. Do we answer it on the time factor she has posted, or how do we answer this? Continuously she has posted. Okay. Ulta length I will go. The latest. What she posted. How to understand at an early stage that I am attached in any, within brackets, tough situation. This will help us to regain strength and mental stability. How to understand at an early stage that I am attached. At every stage you can understand. From the early stage itself you can understand. What is the understanding? When your mental state is decided by the other, remember this. Your mental state is decided by the other. When your mental state is determined by the other, maybe the object, the person or situation, doesn't matter what it is. When your mental state is decided by the other, you can understand that you have become weak, attached. Ramatirtha says, the street dog decides your mental state, he says, no. He puts it very bluntly. He says, the street dog, meaning anything and everything decides your mental state except you. You seem to have no control on your mental state, whereas everybody seems to have control over it. It means this you can understand. And there are varying degrees of attachments. So many indicators are there to know wherever you want to dominate. Wherever you want to dominate, know that you are dominant. When you turn violent, it is attachment. So these are all so many indicators. As we go into the text, we will be getting more and more indicators. Adalla, if you keep making a note, you will be able to understand. Is it okay, Mala? This is how you can understand at an early stage. Could you repeat how to bring the mind back from centering on us? How to bring the mind back? As long as your happiness is your goal in life, you will be self-centered. When you shift it to the happiness of others, the mind will move out of the center. Again, I repeat, mind will be self-centered, self-obsessed. Why? When my pleasure and my happiness becomes the most important factor in life. It means what? Shift the attention from you to the other. When you shift the attention from you to the other, you will not be self, it will not be centering on you. That is why we talk about the circle of identification diagram and all. We will show as we go into the text. Is it okay, Mala?
One small question. I understand about the indicators when I get attached and violent. The other side, when other person turns violent, then what should be my thinking?
When the other turns violent, there is no problem because you know exactly what to do. When the other turns violent towards you, you know exactly what to do. What will you do? What will you do?
Generally, I get shaky.
Fight or flight, they say. Fight or flight. Flight means run away or fight. Most of the times we run away. Very few areas we fight. Why? Because we cannot run away. But nevertheless, reacting to the violence is very is not that difficult. When somebody turns violent, first thing what will happen, you will start shivering. Correct? Fear, shivering, all that will start. Fear of fear of you going to get injured. Fear of your injury, because you have a value that you should not be injured at all. That's all. It's the same problem. The reality is, world will throw, when it throws flowers at you, it will throw bricks also at you. So you fear because you want only, you are so focused on yourself that only flowers should come and bricks should not come. Who's a wise man? In the Bhagavad Gita, we see that. Tata manapamana yoho. Mana and apamana, he is the same. Because world will give both. If somebody says, I am wise, definitely there are a few who's going to say, I am fool. If somebody says, I am beautiful, there are somebody who's going to say, I am ugly. Therefore, this lack of preparation is the fear. It is not the other. Again, the cause is not the other. The cause is your own lack of preparation. Are you able to follow, Mala? It is your own preparation. What is it? Flowers should be thrown, not bricks. Fear of injury. What is fear of injury? What will happen to me if because I hate injury. I don't want to be injured. If I don't want to be injured, I have to develop the protective layer. What is a protective layer? The knowledge and understanding. As long as I don't have the protective layer of knowledge and understanding, I am susceptible. So the problem is not from the world. The problem is the weakness that I have, that my susceptibility, my vulnerability here is the problem. That's how Vedanta addresses it. Oh, does that mean the other is right? Does that mean you are in agreement with the other? We are not discussing the other at all. We are only discussing you, the individual, and how you should understand it right. Is it okay? Yeah. With this, we conclude for today. We'll continue with the preface. We start with preface in the next session.